You're standing in a circle of friends, and one of them says something, and your body does something you never actually decided to do. Your chest convulses. A sound bursts out of your throat that you didn't choose, couldn't fully stop, and don't entirely control. You call it laughter. You think of it as joy. Now strip away the friends, the language, the joke. Go back far enough, before comedy, before words, before humans, and that same sound is still there. Only it doesn't mean what you think it means. Here is something that will sound like trivia and is almost completely misleading. We laugh because things are funny. That feels obvious. It feels true. And it is wrong. Because when the psychologist Robert Provine spent years secretly recording thousands of real human laughs in shopping malls and on sidewalks, he found that only around 10 to 20% of the laughter in ordinary conversation followed anything resembling a joke. The rest followed statements like, "I'll see you later," or "Where have you been?" Laughter, it turns out, has almost nothing to do with comedy. So if we're not laughing at jokes, what are we actually doing? What is this violent, involuntary spasm that hijacks your breathing and your face and your voice? And why did evolution bother to build it into you at all? The answer runs back millions of years, long before your species existed, and it does not begin with happiness. It begins with something much older and much darker. The reaction of an animal that has just realized the thing trying to kill it was not going to kill it after all. The assumption most of us carry is that laughter is a kind of decoration on human life, a pleasant bonus, something that arrived late, alongside language and art and comedy, as a reward for being clever. In this story, laughter is refined, civilized, a signal of intelligence and warmth. And almost every part of that story collapses the moment you look at where the sound actually comes from and who else on earth makes it. Because you are not the only creature that laughs. You are not even close to the first. Watch two young chimpanzees wrestle and you will hear it. A breathy, panting rhythmic sound produced as they tumble, bite, and pin each other to the ground. Primatologists have recorded this same sound in chimpanzees, bonobos, gorillas, and orangutans. And when researchers built a family tree of these calls, laughter turned out to be at least 10 to 16 million years old. That means it predates humans entirely. It predates language. It predates the joke by an almost incomprehensible margin. Your laughter is not a human invention. It is an inheritance, handed down from ancestors who could not speak a single word. And notice what those apes are doing when they make the sound. They are not exchanging witticisms. They are fighting. Or rather, they are pretending to fight. Rough and tumble play, chasing, wrestling, mock biting, the kind of activity that looks almost identical to real aggression and could tip into it at any moment. The panting laugh is the signal that says, "This is not real. The teeth are here, but they will not close. The attack is happening, but it is a game." Laughter, at its root, is a message about danger. Specifically, it is a message that the danger is fake. This is why the single most reliable trigger of laughter across the entire human species is not humor. It is being tickled. A baby who has never heard a joke, who does not yet understand a single word, will shriek with laughter when tickled by a parent. And tickling is mock aggression in its purest form. Fingers darting toward the ribs, the neck, the belly, the vulnerable places a predator would go for, an attack that arrives and arrives again and never actually harms. Your body reads the assault, recognizes it as safe, and answers with the ancient sound. It answers with a laugh. And here's the detail that gives the whole thing away. You cannot tickle yourself. Try it right now and nothing happens because your brain, in the cerebellum, predicts the movement of your own hand and cancels the sensation before it arrives. Tickling only works when the touch is unpredictable, when it comes from someone else, when some deep part of your nervous system genuinely cannot be certain, for a fraction of a second, whether this is play or a threat. Laughter lives precisely in that gap, in the space between danger and safety, in the moment you realize you are never actually in danger at all. And you do not learn to do this. It is built in before experience can touch it. Children born completely blind and deaf, who have never seen a smile and never heard another person laugh, still laugh. They laugh when tickled, when played with, when a game of peekaboo resolves. There was no model for them to copy, no sound to imitate, and yet the reflex arrives on schedule, fully formed. Laughter is not a cultural habit we pick up. It is standard equipment installed in the human nervous system at the factory, the same in every population on Earth. The neuroscientist V.S. Ramachandran gave this idea a name. He called laughter a false alarm signal. Imagine an ancestor walking a trail who sees a shape coil in the grass and freezes, muscles flooding with the chemistry of terror, ready to run. And then the shape resolves into a stick. The threat evaporates. All that mobilized energy has nowhere to go, and the body needs a way to broadcast to everyone nearby that the emergency is over. That broadcast, Ramachandran argued, is laughter. A convulsive, unmistakable, contagious announcement that the thing we all feared turned out to be nothing. And once you see laughter that way, the structure of every joke you have ever heard suddenly makes sense. A joke builds a small expectation, a tension, a path your mind commits to. Then the punchline yanks that path sideways into something harmless and absurd. The setup is the coiled shape in the grass. The punchline is the stick. The laugh is your nervous system announcing the all clear. Comedy did not create laughter. Comedy is a machine we built, thousands of years later, to reverse engineer a reflex that was already there, and to pull that ancient lever on purpose, again and again. So far, this is unsettling but not yet dark. The darkness enters when you ask a different question. If laughter began as a signal about danger and its sudden collapse, then whose danger exactly are we celebrating? Because a great deal of human laughter, across history and across cultures, has never been warm at all. It has been aimed. It has been a weapon. And for most of the time, humans have been writing down their thoughts about laughter. They did not describe it as kindness. They described it as triumph. Thomas Hobbes, writing in the 17th century, called laughter a sudden glory. A flash of self-satisfaction that erupts when we perceive our own superiority over someone else, over their stumble, their failure, their weakness. Plato went further and distrusted laughter almost entirely, seeing it as a loss of self-control rooted in malice toward the ridiculous. For thousands of years, the dominant theory of laughter in Western thought was not about joy or play. It was about scorn, the laugh of the crowd at the man who slips, the laugh of the strong at the expense of the weak. And this fits the biology uncomfortably well. Remember that the ancestral laugh was a signal shared between allies during play, a way of marking the boundary between us and not real threat. Turn that same signal outward, aim it at an outsider, and it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a way of saying, you are the danger that turned out to be nothing. You are the fake threat. You are beneath us. Laughter binds a group together, and one of the oldest, cheapest, most efficient ways to bind a group is to agree all at once on someone to laugh at. Which brings us to the strangest and most revealing feature of the whole phenomenon. Laughter is contagious, and it is overwhelmingly social. Provine found that you are around 30 times more likely to laugh when you are with other people than when you are alone. 30 times. Laughter is not primarily a response to the world. It is a response to other humans. It is a sound designed to travel between bodies, to synchronize a group, to spread from one nervous system to the next until an entire room is convulsing together, often without a single person being able to explain why. How powerful is that contagion? In 1962, in what is now Tanzania, at a girls' boarding school near Lake Victoria, 3 students started laughing. It did not stop. The laughter spread from student to student until nearly 100 girls were affected, coming in waves that lasted for hours and in some cases days. The school was forced to close, and when the students went home, they carried it with them, and the laughter spread through their villages, reaching thousands of people across the region and shutting down more schools before it finally burned out over the following year. And here's the part that matters. Nothing was funny. There was no joke, no comedian, no shared piece of comedy passing between them. Researchers who studied the outbreak concluded it was a stress response, a form of mass psychogenic illness moving through a population of young people under enormous pressure, which means the largest documented outbreak of laughter in human history contained no humor whatsoever. The sound spread on its own, uncoupled from anything amusing, driven by tension and anxiety and the sheer physical contagion of the signal itself. Laughter once again, revealing that it was never really about jokes. You already know this from your own life, even if you have never named it. You have laughed at a funeral and been horrified at yourself. You have laughed when someone delivered terrible news. You have laughed while being scolded, while apologizing, while watching something go badly wrong, and felt the sound escape at exactly the wrong moment. In the famous obedience experiments run by Stanley Milgram, in which participants believed they were delivering painful electric shocks to another person, observers recorded something disturbing. Many of the participants laughed, nervous, uncontrollable laughter, in the middle of what they thought was someone else's agony. That laughter was not cruelty and it was not joy. It was the false alarm signal firing under unbearable tension, a nervous system overloaded with conflict and stress, reaching for the oldest release valve it has. This is laughter stripped of every comforting story we tell about it. Not a response to humor, not a gift of intelligence, but a pressure release, a reflex that fires when the mind is caught between threat and safety and cannot resolve which one it is looking at. The same mechanism that makes a tickled baby shriek makes a terrified adult laugh at the worst possible time.